Hi and welcome to another gaming video, and in today's video I want to talk about the name for the Switch successor. Now it appears that Nintendo may have accidentally hinted at it either being called the Switch 2 or the new Switch, so neither of those really make a lot of sense. The Switch 2 obviously, well, it kind of makes sense, but I don't recall any time in Nintendo's history where they've released a successor with the number 2 on it. You had like the NES became the Super NES, the N64 went to the GameCube, which went to the Wii. Even the follow-up to the Wii wasn't called the Wii 2, it was called the Wii U. That's about as close as Nintendo get to tying things in. DS became the 3DS. None of them have ever been called the DS2 or the Super Nintendo 2. So I'm not sure why Nintendo would start with the Switch and call them the successor the Switch 2. That doesn't really follow sort of normal Nintendo rule. The other option is new Switch, which it's a horrible name. They did this with the 3DS when they released the new 3DS, and it was really confusing because if you were buying a second-hand 3DS, you had to ask whether it was a new 3DS or whether you meant it was a brand new 3DS or whether it was one of those new 3DSs. And it's a horrible naming scheme. So to call the next gen Switch the new Switch is horrible. But it also then kind of hints at that it's not a fully fledged new platform. So when we take the new 3DS and the 3DS, the new 3DS was more powerful, it had some exclusive games, but it could play all of your 3DS games, but there were some exclusive games that wouldn't run on the old 3DS. So is that the way that Nintendo are going to go with the next gen Switch? Are we kind of looking at a Switch Pro kind of thing, where it's more powerful than the current Switch, can play all of your current Switch games, and we'll have some exclusive ones that will only run on the new Switch? So it's a little confusing. Neither of the new names are great. Switch 2 is probably their best option because it will build on the Switch platform, just like other companies like Sony when they bring out the PS4. The next one is the PS5. Everyone knows what the next sort of sequences, and they know in what order these consoles go in. So if they were to bring out the Switch 2, it would be instantly recognizable that it is the successor to the Switch. Whether that's backward compatible, I'm not even going to touch on that in this video. So yeah, Switch 2 or new Switch. Now these are the names that have sort of quietly been dropped in a Nintendo conversation somewhere that I read online. And neither of them are fantastic. Like I said, the Switch 2 would break Nintendo's normal naming convention, but it's the better out of the two. It would give you more of a clear definition as to what you were buying it for. Is this a Switch game or is this a Switch 2 game? But if they were to go with new Switch, that is a horrible naming convention that has been brought over from the 3DS, and it does give you that impression that the new Switch will just be a speed bump Switch with a few exclusive games. So this is all a bit speculation. They may not even call it Switch 2 or the new Switch. They could call it something completely different, Switch Pro. They may completely change up the name altogether. If they were to do that and call it the Nintendo, I don't know, Bench or Nintendo Sky, I think then that would give you a clear definition that backwards compatibility isn't an option. So I don't think they're going to go down that. I think the most likely is that it's going to be the Switch 2. Yeah, but let me know what you think. We are about less than a year away from an actual release. That Nintendo at least acknowledged a few months ago or a few weeks ago the existence of a Switch successor, but they still haven't really given us any information, any specs, any hint at what it's going to be called, except these odd Switch 2 and new Switch names that were dropped in a tweet or a an interview somewhere. Let me know, what do you think? Switch 2, new Switch, or maybe something completely different? Link, like, subscribe, enjoy.